You wait to feel ready, motivated, excited, but that moment never stays. And that's why you stay stuck, because you rely on feelings to take action. Now here's the truth. Feelings are unstable. They change every day, every hour, sometimes every minute. Now imagine this. One day you feel motivated. You work, you push, you try. Next day, you don't feel like it. You stop. That's the cycle, and that's why nothing changes. Now here's the shift. Stop relying on motivation. Start building discipline. Because discipline doesn't depend on feelings. It depends on decisions. Now imagine this. You wake up, you don't feel like working, but you do it anyway. That's discipline. Now repeat that daily. That builds power. Now here's something powerful. Discipline is freedom, because when you control your actions, you control your life. Now imagine this. You don't delay. You don't hesitate. You act. That creates results. Now here's the truth. Most people wait. They think, they plan, but they don't act. Now imagine this. You act first. You adjust later. That builds progress. Now let's go deeper. Discipline is not about doing everything. It's about doing what matters consistently. Now imagine this. You focus on key actions daily. That builds success. Now here's something deeper. Discipline is built in hard moments, not easy ones. Now imagine this. You feel tired. You feel lazy, but you still act. That builds strength. Now here's the truth. Your weakest moment defines your discipline. Now imagine this. You don't give in. You push forward. That creates growth. Now here's something powerful. Discipline removes excuses. Now imagine this. You don't say, "I'll do it later." You do it now. That builds momentum. Now let's go deeper. You must create rules, not options. Now imagine this. Instead of saying, "I'll try to work," you say, "I work every day at 9." That creates certainty. Now here's the truth. Options create hesitation. Rules create action. Now imagine this. You follow your rules. No negotiation. That builds discipline. Now here's something deeper. You must control your environment, because environment affects behavior. Now imagine this. You remove distractions. You create focus. That supports discipline. Now let's go further. You must simplify your routine, because complexity creates failure. Now imagine this. Simple structure, clear actions, repeat daily. That builds consistency. Now here's something powerful. Consistency beats intensity. Now imagine this. You don't work hard once. You work daily. That builds results. Now here's the truth. Discipline is boring, repetitive, predictable, but that's what works. Now imagine this version of you. You act without hesitation. You follow your routine. You stay consistent. That version is unstoppable, because now nothing controls you. Now here's the final realization. You don't need motivation. You need discipline.
Now let's build it. Because understanding discipline is not enough. You need a system, a structure, a daily execution plan, something you follow no matter how you feel. Because discipline without structure fails. So let's make it simple, clear, repeatable. Now imagine this. You wake up. You don't think. You follow your system. That's power. Now step 1. Start with a fixed wake-up time. Not random, not flexible, fixed. Now imagine this. You wake up at the same time daily. Your body adapts. That builds consistency. Now step 2. Remove morning distractions, because your morning sets your day. Now imagine this. No phone, no scrolling, just focus. That builds control. Now step 3. Define your top 3 tasks. Not 10, not 20, 3. Now imagine this. You know exactly what matters. That creates clarity. Now step 4. Start with the hardest task, because that builds discipline fastest. Now imagine this. You do the difficult thing first. That builds confidence. Now step 5. Use time blocks, because structure creates execution. Now imagine this. You work for 60-90 minutes, focused, no distractions. That creates progress. Now step 6. Take controlled breaks, not random, planned. Now imagine this. Short breaks, then back to work. That maintains energy. Now step 7. Remove distractions completely.
because discipline needs focus. Now imagine this: no notifications, no interruptions. That builds deep work. Now step 8, track your actions, because awareness creates improvement. Now imagine this: you see your progress daily. That builds accountability. Now step 9, set non-negotiable rules, because discipline needs boundaries. Now imagine this: you decide, I work daily, no excuses. That builds consistency. Now step 10, finish what you start, because unfinished work kills discipline. Now imagine this: you complete tasks. That builds confidence. Now let's go deeper. You must reduce decision-making, because too many decisions create delay. Now imagine this: you know what to do. You execute. That builds speed. Now here's something powerful. You must prepare your environment, because environment supports action. Now imagine this: clean space, tools ready, no friction. That builds discipline. Now let's go further. You must train daily, because discipline is a skill. Now imagine this: you practice every day. That builds strength. Now here's the truth: you won't always feel motivated, you won't always feel ready, but you act anyway. That's discipline. Now imagine this version of you. You follow your system. You don't skip. You don't delay. You execute. That version is powerful, because now your actions are automatic. Now here's the final shift. Stop asking, what do I feel like doing? Start asking, what must be done? Because that question builds discipline.
Let's go deeper. Because discipline is not just action, it's identity. And until you change your identity, you will always struggle. Now here's the truth. You don't do what you want. You do what you believe you are. Now imagine this. If you believe I'm lazy, you act lazy. If you believe I'm disciplined, you act disciplined. Now here's the shift. Stop trying to act disciplined. Start becoming disciplined. Now imagine this. You say, I am someone who finishes what I start. Now act like it, daily. That builds identity. Now here's something powerful. Identity creates behavior. Behavior creates results. Results reinforce identity. That's the loop. Now imagine this. You act disciplined. You get results. That strengthens your belief. Now let's go deeper. You must break your old identity, because old identity creates old behavior. Now imagine this. You were inconsistent before. You quit often. That became your identity. Now here's the truth. You must rewrite that. Now imagine this. You prove to yourself, I don't quit. Through actions. That builds a new identity. Now here's something deeper. Discipline is emotional control, because most people quit based on emotion. Now imagine this. You feel tired. You still work. That builds discipline. Now here's the truth. Emotions are temporary, but discipline is permanent. Now let's go further. You must remove comfort addiction, because comfort kills discipline. Now imagine this. You choose effort over ease, daily. That builds strength. Now here's something powerful. You must delay gratification, because discipline requires patience. Now imagine this. You sacrifice now for results later. That builds success. Now let's go deeper. You must trust the process, because discipline works slowly. Now imagine this. You don't see results immediately, but you continue. That builds power. Now here's the truth. Most people quit early, before results appear. Now imagine this. You don't quit. You continue. That creates success. Now here's something deeper. You must build self-respect, because discipline is self-respect. Now imagine this. You keep your promises to yourself. That builds confidence. Now here's the truth. Every time you break your promise, you lose trust in yourself. Now imagine this. You follow through.
daily. That builds identity. Now let's go further. You must eliminate excuses, because excuses destroy discipline. Now imagine this. Instead of saying, "I don't have time," you make time. That builds control. Now here's something powerful. You must accept discomfort, because discipline feels uncomfortable. Now imagine this. You feel resistance, but you act anyway. That builds strength. Now here's the deeper truth. Your growth lives in discomfort. Now imagine this. You lean into it. That creates transformation. Now imagine this version of you. You don't depend on feelings. You don't make excuses. You follow your system. You act consistently. That version is unstoppable. Because now, your identity supports your actions. Now here's the final realization. You don't build discipline by trying. You build it by becoming.
There is a level where discipline becomes automatic. You don't argue with yourself. You don't negotiate. You just execute. That level is mental toughness, and most people never reach it because they stop when it gets uncomfortable. Now, here's the truth. Discipline is tested in difficult moments, not easy ones. Now imagine this. You feel tired. You feel resistance. Everything inside you says, "Stop." But you continue. That builds mental toughness. Now here's something powerful. You must remove negotiation, because negotiation creates weakness. Now imagine this. Instead of asking, "Should I do it?" you say, "I do it." No questions. That builds control. Now let's go deeper. You must build non-negotiable habits, because optional habits fail. Now imagine this. You decide, "I work every day, no matter what." That creates consistency. Now here's the truth. Consistency creates power. Now imagine this. You show up daily. You execute daily. That builds momentum. Now let's go further. You must train your mind to endure, because discipline requires endurance. Now imagine this. You keep going even when it's hard. That builds strength. Now here's something deeper. You must control your inner voice, because that voice can either stop you or push you. Now imagine this. Your voice says, "Keep going," and you listen. That builds power. Now here's the truth. Weak voice creates weak action. Strong voice creates strong action. Now let's go deeper. You must eliminate weak habits, because weak habits break discipline. Now imagine this. You remove distractions. You remove time wasters. That builds focus. Now here's something powerful. You must simplify your system, because complex systems fail. Now imagine this. Clear rules, simple actions. Repeat daily. That builds consistency. Now let's go further. You must focus on execution, not perfection, because perfection delays action. Now imagine this. You act. You improve later. That builds progress. Now here's the truth. Action creates results. Thinking does not. Now imagine this. You move forward daily. That builds success. Now here's something deeper. You must train in discomfort, because comfort creates weakness. Now imagine this. You choose hard tasks. You push yourself. That builds toughness. Now here's the truth. Easy life creates weak discipline. Hard moments create strong discipline. Now let's go further. You must control your environment, because environment supports discipline. Now imagine this. No distractions, no excuses, just focus. That builds execution. Now here's something powerful. You must stay consistent even when results are slow. Now imagine this. You don't see progress, but you continue. That builds success. Now here's the deeper truth. Time rewards discipline. Now imagine this version of you. You don't stop. You don't quit. You don't delay. You execute. Every day. That version is unstoppable because now nothing breaks your system. Now here's the final shift. Stop relying on motivation. Start relying on discipline, because discipline creates unstoppable results.
At some point, you have to stop lying to yourself. Stop saying, "I'll start tomorrow. I'll do it later. I'm not ready yet." Because the truth is, you will never feel ready, and waiting for that feeling is the biggest trap. Now here's the reality. Your future is not built when you feel motivated. It's built when you act without it. Now think about this. How many times did you delay action because you didn't feel like it? And how much did that cost you? Time? Opportunities? Progress? Now imagine this. You stop waiting. You start acting, even when it's hard. That changes everything. Now here's the shift. Stop asking, "How do I feel?" Start asking, "What must be done?" Because that question builds discipline. Now let's be real. This is not easy. You will feel resistance. You will feel tired. You will feel unmotivated. But those moments define you. Now imagine this. You don't feel like working, but you do it anyway. That builds strength. Now multiply that daily. That creates transformation. Now here's something powerful. Every time you choose discipline, you win. Every time you choose comfort, you lose. Now imagine this. You choose discipline more often. That builds success. Now here's the truth. Small disciplined actions create big results. Now imagine this. You improve 1% daily. That compounds. Now here's something deeper. Discipline creates identity. Now imagine this. You act consistently. You follow your system. That becomes who you are. Now here's the truth. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your discipline. Now imagine this. Your discipline is strong. Your results follow. Now here's something powerful. You must protect your routine, because routine creates stability. Now imagine this. You follow your routine daily. No excuses. That builds consistency. Now here's the deeper truth. Consistency creates trust. Trust in yourself. Now imagine this. You keep your promises daily. That builds confidence. Now here's the truth. Confidence is earned through disciplined action. Now imagine this. You act consistently. You build results. That builds belief. Now here's something powerful. You must focus on long term, because discipline pays later. Now imagine this. You sacrifice now, you gain later. That builds success. Now here's the final shift. Stop chasing motivation. Start building discipline. Because motivation is temporary, but discipline is permanent. Now imagine this version of you. You don't hesitate. You don't delay. You act. You execute. You stay consistent. That version is unstoppable. Because now, nothing controls you. Now here's the final realization. You don't need motivation. You need discipline. And discipline is a choice. Every day, every moment. So choose wisely and become unstoppable.